I went fishing on Lake Erie and came home with my next painting.
Keep cranking. Keep cranking.
Right here you can see the waves,
Oh, there it is.
and there's the walleye right there.
That's a nice fish.
When we were getting ready to clean the fish, we had 20 of them, and I laid this one out so that I could photograph it. If you just look at these colors, they're beautiful. This is the kind of thing that makes an artist want to take out the paints. So let's start creating this fish together. What I see first, I see a big, I could do a giant oval like this, or I could do it one oval here and a smaller one here and a smaller one here. More of an egg shape one here. And that's what I think I'm going to do rather than try to stretch the whole shape out. So I'm going to start with my oval shape, and I'm going to run my oval here for the body. That right here, this area right here is about as thick as point. And then I'm going to make another oval here, and I can overlap the ovals. And then I'm going to make another oval that comes down here for the tail. And then there's actually a triangle shape for his tail. His fin is more of, it's a triangle like this with a bit of a flare on it, and I may just shorten it up a little bit. He has a circle for his eye. He's leaning a little bit here. And he has another fin here, and another fin down here, and then one here. This one looks, it's very close to its body. It's more like a tighter line, and then there's another fin that is right about here, and that's another triangle, very slender triangle, and its gills are in here. Now I can see by looking at this, by my picture, I need to come up a little bit more with my curve, and the mouth is going to stretch a little further out. And that's the beauty of starting somewhere. If I start somewhere, I can see what I need to change and adjust. So right there, and I also think the eye needs to move over here. Don't worry if you need to erase. I say this all the time to you, or if you feel like you want to erase. Sometimes erasing is unnecessary. So actually this body is going to come a little bit below that fin because he's turned a little bit and stretching his bottom side. And then I'm going to come up and take his top side, bring it back, curve up for the tail, kind of round out that triangle-y shape. And it comes to the, if I look here for the center, it kind of slopes down and then comes out again and slopes back. And it has a little bit of a cup shape, like a curve shape here, where the tail joins on. So right here is the very basic of the fish. And then I want to look at its mouth. Its mouth has like a little pie piece taken out of it like this. And that's the very beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and create its fin. It has these lines that kind of run next to each other. These are like hatch lines. These are lines that you see in nature that we as artists use a lot. We use hatch lines. And these lines are going to come down like this. And they have a little bit of a, like a loop inside of them, like a spider webbing look, kind of curved like this. And these fish are sharp. There are places like the fins and areas even in the gills when you reach in to lift them up, they are sharp. Now the gills are right here, and it looks like I need to make mine a little more upright, like this. Comes down, it looks like a backward L shape, like a Nike sign almost, a swish. So I'm going to try to get my kneaded eraser, and I am going to erase that so it's not confusing. I am going to erase the eye so it's not confusing. And I'm going to create a little curve like this and another curve like this. Now inside of the eye, it has a lot of bright colors, and because I'm going to be using my paints, I think I'm going to leave the eye with less shading in it. I might darken it a little bit here where I see the darks, and the mouth. There's actually like little layers I see here in the mouth where it's like has lips. I think of that movie, Mr. Limpet. And I imagine a lot of you are too young to remember Mr. Limpet. It's a man that turns into a fish. So anyway, this actually could be a little bit longer, but I'm not going to worry about it. This is a walleye. And we had all different size walleyes in our cooler that day. So I'm going to stretch a couple lines next to that fin. I'm not going to add a ton of details because I'm going to be putting them on with paint. And I want to make this bottom a little bit longer, a little bit wider right here. I just feel like it needs it. And then again here at the tail, it's going to start here and the lines are going to radiate out toward the end. You don't have to do every line. You can if you want to. Just giving the illusion of the lines is all that you really need. It's just like when you're creating a portrait, you just want to have a likeness. You don't need to make it look exactly like the picture or the person that's sitting there. A likeness is good enough. I'm going to make this triangle a little higher. And there's a great big reflection on this one part here. And I see a little bit of texture, the lines, those hatch lines that I talked about. Now the body actually divides here. I'm drawing a light line in. It's darker up here and lighter down here. It's the darker green that moves to the yellow, that moves to the white. And here's this fin here that also comes out. It's a broken, this is a triangle shape, but it's kind of a broken triangle shape. I'm going to bend it now a little bit, making it a little longer, coming in, doing a little bit of a jig jag like that. And there's this fin here. It actually, in my picture, lays more flat, and I should make it more accurate. You can always take artistic license. If you want to change something, go ahead and change it. Nobody knows, and nobody really cares unless it's something that has to be detail perfect. And this other fin, I can see the other side of it down here. So let's get the gills down a little lower. This is where they breathe. There's a cheek. There's a little bit of side of the mouth here. And up here, there are actually some little thin pieces that kind of curve out like this. Don't be afraid to turn your paper if you need to. I'm kind of stuck here in this position. I know I say this to you a lot, but I'm stuck in this position because I don't want to move my picture around too much and then have you get lost in what I'm doing. This is Yasutomo pearlescent paints. These are more of a student grade. They're a lot of fun though, and these here are core paints that I've put paint in the top of the tray. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my brush a little wet and I'm just going to paint a little bit on here. I just thought they'd be a lot of fun. I'm using a turquoise color here. I'm going to add on a little bit of turquoise here, lightly. And I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in with this to make it look more of a greenish color. And there's very dark. Inside of these fins. And this is just a dark green that I'm using here. I'm going to take this darkness and run it along this edge. I'm going to mix a little bit of Payne's gray in there. And just kind of give it the darkness where I see the darkness. I may put it into the eyeball where I was talking about. See a little bit here for the mouth. Here around the cheek a little bit. This is just a quick, like a field sketch. It's nothing that's going to take a tremendous amount of time. This is a sketchbook painting. I lost a couple of fish when I was reeling in, which I hadn't done the time before, but I was reassured that it's okay, everybody loses fish. So anyway, let me get these colors on. I'm trying to move quickly for you. It's amazing because the water can be so deep. We were at 90 feet, and you can go so much deeper than that. But it's funny because you can't see anything underneath that surface, yet you're floating above, 90 feet above. It's a weird feeling when you think about it. Now there is a shadow here, and I'm trying to decide, do I want to put this fish in water or do I want to leave it like it's sitting out on top of the place where we were actually cleaning these fish. So I'm going to also throw in a little bit of yellow. And I want to show you something that I do with my students. I'd like to get these a little bit darker. I use my brush like this. I take an old brush that's not very good. This is a pretty beat up brush. It has a long handle. I don't normally use long handled brushes. I'm going to break this one. This brush, I will mess up its hair. My students called it sleepyhead. What I do is I mess up its hair. I take my brush and I smash it in my hand because what I'm trying to do is get a real bristly kind of a shape at the end of the brush so that I can go in and I can dab in my watercolor. Now you have to make sure your watercolor is wet, and that's what I'm doing, is re-wetting my watercolors right now. So you go in and you make your watercolor. I'm going for the pearlescent colors right now, and this is what my students called sleepyhead. And what I'm doing is taking just the edge of my brush and I'm dabbing like this. And I'm going to do that with this brush, and I'm going to put in texture so that it appears to be scales. Okay, I've got the darkest color I have in this set. I'm going to spin my brush around a little bit, and I'm going to get another brush to get a little more control. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to work the tail a little bit. The pearlescents do not move as good as your regular watercolors, just so you know. They seem to get a little bit stuck. So I'm going to go back to my regular watercolors, adding adding the edge right here. Go back in and add underneath the fin. I want to put in darkness wherever I see darkness. That's what I'm going to put in first. Bring in some of the gills, a little bit of the cheek, side of the mouth, and just kind of throwing in a little bit of darkness in there. I'm going to also add a little bit more darkness in this tail. I notice towards the end of the tail it's a little bit lighter. Fish are fun because it takes a lot to mess up a fish. So hopefully, no matter what I do to it, it's not going to make it look like it's not a fish. Now I'm going to take my pearlescent and it's mostly white, so I'm going to ruffle this up, making my sleepyhead, and I'm going to dab into the yellow and the gold, and through here is the yellow and the gold scales right through here, and it's subtle. And a little bit, I'm going to brush a little bit here and dab a little bit here, right through here. I'm going to rinse, and I'm going to go in and I'll go in with a lighter green first. And I'm just dabbing along, and I'm kind of shifting it like a washing machine, like that, back and forth, to kind of give it a change of pattern so it doesn't make a stamping effect. Darkening this here. I loaded a little bit of sap green from the core and the core paints, and I'm going to put in a little bit of the sap green. It seems to be the perfect color for this. And put some up here, run some through here. This edge is kind of a firm green edge. And it kind of comes down dark here. I mixed a little bit of crimson with my sap green, and it's going to give it the darkness that I need through here. It works because it's a complementary color. I'm throwing a little bit of the dark here. Gives it kind of a brownish look. If I don't want it looking so brown, I can put a little more green to it. I can add a little bit of blue to it, which would mute it further. The green worked. So I'm coming in and just adding these lines in here. Now I'm going to go around the eye. We're getting a thunderstorm, and it's a good one. So hopefully we keep power enough so I can finish my video for you. But I was talking about how I think it was fascinating to be on the water and to be so high above the actual surface we're floating on it. It's just kind of a unsettling feeling when you think about it. And I'm not a great swimmer. I think I can float on my back. So I'm going to add some darkness in the tail. I don't know if you can see this shimmer, but these pearlescent paints really add a beautiful look about them. So let's see, put in a little bit of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my green to it. Put a little more water on it. This is a sketchbook. This is not watercolor paper, so my paper may buckle a little bit, and I'm expecting that it will. I want to leave a little bit of light there because that's where the shine of the fish is. So just so you know, you might see my paper buckle. I'm going to go in with a lighter grayish color to try to go in between these fins right here. Now I'm not using a frisket. I'm not blocking this out. I'm just freehand painting. I'm not going to that depth with this. Now I can go in even with my yellow and just dab in yellow with my brush. Just that repetitive dabbing like this. And what's fun about this paint is that there is a white, so we may be able to go in and give it kind of that white effect how you would with gouache. So I want to get the eye also. And let's see. The eye appears to have a little bit of blue in it, and it's like an icy blue right here. Make it larger. A little bit of ice blue in here. And then a little bit of yellow. A little bit of yellow. I should have cleaned that brush off a little better. Putting a little bit of yellow. And then it has like an outlining of black, which I'm not going to worry about this second. I want to let that dry, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of that black around the edge of it. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of a tone of, let's say, there is a pearlescent gray. I could use a black with a lot of water, but I'm just curious to see what this will do. Yeah, that's a really, actually it's a pretty gray. So it must be like a silver. And then there's this other fin that I've completely left out. I'm going to throw in. And I'm going to give this fin a little bit more definition. And I might exaggerate it just a little bit so it looks more like an actual fin. I'm going to come in and put in a little bit of darkness in there, a little darkness in here. Yeah, this paint feels a lot like gouache. So this is the first time I've used it. It was given to me, and I don't know a whole lot about it. But I thought for a fish, they do look pearlescent looking, and I thought I'd give it a try. So I'm just giving a little bit of the underside, a little bit of the underside, a little bit of that fin. We'll see what happens here. A little darkness there. I see a little bit of pink underneath, like a purpley color, and there is some purple here, so we'll just put in a little bit of, see what happens. Yeah, a little bit of purple here. And I'm seeing a little purple in the shadows. Kind of give it some depth. A bit of purple up here. So now I'm going to go around that eyeball with a little bit of my crimson and my sap green, which I'm mixing together to form a darker color. And I'm going to outline that eye just a little bit, not completely, but just enough to have it look like, I'm going to enlarge my reference. See if I can see what it looks like here. The eye is the window to the soul. So eyes are pretty important. And this is a dead fish, so I guess the eye could look dead, but it really was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful fish. I love the darkness, so I'm going to put some more of that darkness in. Keep going with the darkness. Everywhere that I see darkest areas, I'm going to put the darkness in. Even under here, a little bit in the mouth. And I want to add a little bit of blue in here also. And I'll try to tilt this so you can see the shimmer. So it's just another way to have fun with your paints. Now where the highlights are, they're actually bluish. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to put in the blue. I've got to be careful because I'm dragging in other colors with it. So I'm going to really rinse, dry my brush a little better, get my blue, and I'm going to add my blue in there. And there's like speckles of blue here, with some speckles of blue here. Some here. A little bit here. I see some up in the upper fin. Some definitely on this back side of the fin here. Not as much on the tail. Definitely on the eye. I'm going to go in for the white and see what happens with this. See if I can load that white. I think I need a little more water in it. Let's see. Be careful when you're using your paints with water. The water will run down the furrow and then it'll put a glob right on your painting. So if you just wipe that off as you're going with your fingers, just be conscious of it. Oh, that white is a little drippy. Let's see if I can do a little white here, what it does. It adds a little bit to it. It's just fun. It's just something different to play around with. If you have these paints or want to buy them, I think I looked it up before I started this video. I think they're about $10 a package. So they're not horribly priced, and I have 21 colors, and it's just fun. And anything in a sketchbook, it's not something that you have to, keep for forever. It's just in a sketchbook. It's not something that you're doing professionally. I'm using my other watercolors are professional watercolors, where this is just for fun. I'm doing it for a good time. I'm just trying to commemorate the trip that I had and how beautiful these fish are. And I'll probably be doing more of them. I mean, this is truly fun. So I'm going in and adding a little bit, filling in those spaces. I'll add a little bit here. I may even go around and fill in the background a little bit. I'll go in and I've got to let that eye dry in order to be able to go around and add any lightness to it with this. It has to dry. The eye is beautiful. So then I can go back in with my sleepyhead, and I can add some extra to it. I can go in with I'm going to try it with the white and see what it does. I've loaded up with that white, and I'm going to see if it does anything to it. And I'm just dabbing around and switching directions and seeing what happens. I mean, art is just one great big experiment. I don't know if it was significant. I might go in and dab in with some dark now. So I'm going to use the dark that I've gone along the outside with, messing up its hair all over again. Once I rinse it, it doesn't give it the nice messed up quality. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to dab in to my crimson and my sap green. Now I've got to be careful. This is a kind of broad now, so I'm going to just use the angle, the side angle corner of it. And I'm coming in and just kind of going down a line of where those scales are. Like this. And this is a lot of layering of paint for just a simple sketchbook paper. So this paper is taking quite a lot. I'm pretty impressed with it. That's just adding a little bit of the detail in. And then if you want to, you can be like John Singer Sargent and get a bigger brush, and you can go in and just swish around a background. He didn't fill in his whole background. He just added squiggles. If you look at his watercolors, he let the viewer's eye complete the painting. He didn't go in right up to the edges. He just made squiggles. And I think of the water motion, and that's what I think of, our squiggle lines. Of course, this is watercolor, and the waves move, same as watercolor moves. I'm going to go back in and reinstate that eye. I definitely will. And you can look at it, and it's okay to let your watercolors run into other areas. It's okay. I worked with a lady who called the watercolors, when they bled into other watercolors, she called it advanced watercolor, and that was so, it was just inspiring to me, and it was kind of a feeling of, hey, it's okay. You can let that happen, and it's okay. It's not a problem if that happens to you. I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to get a little closer. I think I'm losing my fish a little bit in here. I'm going to get a little closer so that my fish is blocked out. And I want to work that eye just a little bit more before I'm done. So, let's see. I don't know if you can hear that thunderstorm, but boy, it's really going. I'm going to put a little more Payne's Gray out onto my lid here, my palette lid, and try to hit that eye a little better, because to me, the eye is important. And I want to make sure the eye is good. So let's see. There we go. That definitely helped. And now I can go ahead and just in certain areas just add enough darkness to add interest without outlining everything. I've got to be careful. Putting in just enough darkness in a few selected areas, not everywhere. I'm just looking for where the fish is truly dark, dark, dark. And that should be tuning him in. now to a point where he makes sense, where you can see. Now my paper is buckling, makes my lines a little tricky. Hit the eye one more time. So here is a quick drawing with a little bit of watercolor. It actually turned out to be a lot more watercolor than I had planned on using, but I just was having so much fun with it that I wanted to add more to it. That you go out in your world and that you find something that inspires you to draw and paint and have some fun. So I hope you enjoyed this drawing, and I hope that you go and you draw yourself. Have fun drawing.